There comes a moment in all our lives when we chase love, chase approval, chase opportunities that seem just out of reach. We convince ourselves that if we try harder, give more, sacrifice a little more of who we are, maybe, just maybe, we'll finally be chosen. But here's the truth. What's meant for you will never need to be forced. You see, the problem is not that you're not enough. The problem is that you're trying to fit into spaces that don't recognize your value. And the more you try, the more you shrink, you dim your light, you question your worth, and you start believing that maybe, just maybe, you don't deserve better. Let me tell you something. You do. You deserve to be loved without conditions. You deserve opportunities that celebrate your talent, not ones that tolerate your presence. You deserve friendships that pour into you as much as you pour into them. You deserve reciprocity, so stop chasing what's running away. Stop begging for what should be freely given. Stop waiting for doors to open when you were meant to build your own. The right people, the right opportunities, the right love, they will choose you when you choose yourself. So stand tall. Walk away from what's not choosing you and watch how the universe makes room for what truly belongs to you. If something is truly meant for you, it will never have to be forced. But how often do we find ourselves bending, compromising, and exhausting every ounce of our energy just to hold on to something that clearly isn't meant to stay? We convince ourselves that if we just try a little harder, if we become a little more patient, if we prove our worth, then maybe, just maybe, it will work out. But the truth is, anything that requires constant struggle just to exist in your life is not aligned with your path. We live in a world where persistence is glorified. We are told to fight for what we want, to never give up, to push through every challenge. And yes, there is a beauty in resilience, there is power in perseverance, but there is also wisdom in knowing when to stop knocking on a door that refuses to open, when to stop calling someone who never calls back, when to stop giving chances to something that has shown you time and time again that it does not choose you. The problem is we take rejection personally. We see it as a reflection of our inadequacy rather than as divine redirection. We tell ourselves that if we were just a little smarter, a little more attractive, a little more talented, then we would be chosen. We forget that sometimes rejection is not about us at all. It is simply life's way of steering us towards something better. But instead of walking away with our dignity intact, we cling. We overstay in relationships, in friendships, in jobs, in situations that drain us because we are afraid of what happens when we let go. Let's be honest, deep down we always know when something isn't meant for us. There's a heaviness, an uneasiness, a gut feeling that whispers, this isn't right. But we silence that voice because uncertainty scares us more than the struggle. We would rather fight for something that isn't choosing us than face the possibility of starting over. But here's the thing, when you stop forcing, you create space. Space for the right things to come, space for what truly belongs to you. The energy you spend trying to hold on to the wrong thing could be used to build something that embraces you effortlessly. Love should not feel like a war, friendships should not feel like a burden, opportunities should not feel like they are slipping through your fingers no matter how hard you try. If you are constantly questioning your worth in a situation, it is not where you are meant to be. If you have to beg to be seen, you are looking in the wrong direction. If you are exhausted from proving yourself, then it is time to step back and ask yourself why you are choosing something that does not choose you. Let go of what resists you, release what drains you. Trust that what is truly meant for you will meet you with open arms, not closed doors. Because when you stop forcing, you finally make room for what is naturally yours. Your value is not determined by someone else's inability to see it. Yet so often we measure our worth by the way others treat us. We let their opinions, their recognition, or lack of it define how we see ourselves. If someone fails to appreciate us, we start questioning if we are enough. If we are overlooked, rejected, or ignored, we assume it must mean we are lacking in some way. But the truth is, someone else's failure to see your value has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. Think about the most beautiful diamond in the world. Whether someone acknowledges its worth or not, it remains a diamond. It does not lose its shine because one person walks past it without noticing. It does not become any less valuable just because someone else fails to recognize its brilliance. And yet, we allow ourselves to feel diminished simply because the wrong people fail to appreciate us. Not everyone is capable of seeing your greatness, and that is not your burden to carry. There will be people who are blind to your strengths, who underestimate you, who treat you as though you are replaceable. That does not mean they are right. It does not mean you should shrink yourself to fit into their limited perspective. Some people will never see your worth, no matter how much you prove yourself, no matter how much you give, no matter how deeply you love. And that is okay. Their inability to recognize your light does not mean you are not shining. We waste so much time seeking validation from those who are not meant to be part of our journey. We beg for love from those who do not know how to love us. We try to prove our worth in spaces that were never meant to hold us. And in doing so, we forget that our worth is not something to be proven. It simply is. It exists independent of anyone else's recognition. You do not become less valuable because someone fails to see your potential. You do not lose your magic just because someone does not believe in you. The right people, the right opportunities, the right circumstances, they will see you, they will value you, and they will not need to be convinced. When you truly understand this, you stop chasing approval. You stop looking for validation in places that were never meant to validate you. You stop letting other people's opinions dictate your self-worth. There is incredible freedom in knowing that your value is inherent. You do not have to be chosen by someone else to be worthy. You do not have to be liked by everyone to matter. You do not have to change yourself to fit into someone else's narrow vision of what is valuable. You are already enough exactly as you are. So stop waiting for someone else to see what has always been within you. Stop searching for proof that you are valuable. You are. Stop questioning your worth because of someone else's blindness. There will be people who see you clearly, who understand your brilliance, who appreciate your presence. And when you recognize your own worth, you will stop settling for anything less. You deserve love, respect, and opportunities that are freely given, not earned through suffering. Yet so many of us have been conditioned to believe that we must prove ourselves worthy. We think that love must be earned through endless sacrifices, that respect must be fought for, that opportunities only come to those who struggle enough to deserve them. But that is a lie. Love, true love, is not a reward for endurance. Respect is not something you should have to beg for. And opportunities that truly belong to you will never demand your suffering as payment. Somewhere along the way, we were taught that pain is a necessary part of being chosen, that if we love harder, if we give more, if we tolerate enough, then maybe, just maybe, we will be valued. We convince ourselves that if we stay in toxic relationships long enough, the other person will finally see our worth. That if we endure mistreatment in our friendships or workplaces, eventually we will be appreciated. But that is not how value works. Love, respect, and opportunity are not things that should be extracted from suffering. They are things that should be given freely to those who deserve them. And you deserve them. The right love will never ask you to shrink yourself. It will not make you feel like a burden or an option. It will not require you to sacrifice your happiness just to be kept around. Love is not something that should make you feel exhausted, insecure, or constantly questioning whether you are enough. Real love, whether romantic, platonic, or self-love, will never require you to prove your worth through suffering. It will be given freely, willingly, and wholeheartedly. Respect works the same way. If someone does not respect you from the beginning, no amount of proving yourself will change that. You cannot convince someone to treat you better by accepting their mistreatment. You cannot gain dignity by tolerating disrespect. True respect comes from those who recognize your worth without needing to be reminded. It is not something you should have to fight for. It is something that should be present from the start. And when it comes to opportunities, too many people believe that struggle is the only path to success. Yes, hard work is important, but suffering is not a prerequisite for achievement. You do not have to sacrifice your well-being, your peace, or your self-respect to be successful. The right opportunities will align with your effort, your talent, and your energy. They will not require you to burn yourself out just to prove you're deserving. Opportunities that demand your suffering, your self-betrayal, or your constant exhaustion are not opportunities. They are traps. You were not born to spend your life convincing people of your worth. You were not put on this earth to endure pain just to be chosen, respected, or successful. You deserve things that come to you because you are valuable, not because you struggled enough to earn them. The right people, the right love, and the right opportunities will recognize you without needing you to break yourself to fit. They will not demand your suffering as proof of your worthiness. They will choose you effortlessly, just as you should choose yourself. Reciprocity is key. It is the foundation of every healthy relationship, every meaningful connection, and every opportunity that truly belongs to you. Without reciprocity, there is imbalance. One person giving while the other only takes, one side investing while the other remains indifferent. And yet, so many of us settle for one-sided relationships, friendships, and careers where we give endlessly, hoping that one day the energy we pour in will finally be returned. But the truth is, if something is meant for you, it will meet you halfway. It will not require you to carry the weight of the connection alone. We often mistake persistence for love, patience for loyalty, and endurance for strength. We tell ourselves that if we just keep giving, if we just stay a little longer, if we just prove ourselves a little more, then the other person will finally realize our worth. But relationships, whether romantic, platonic, or professional, should not be built on the hope that one day the other party will decide to match our efforts. If they wanted to, they would. If they truly valued you, they would not leave you questioning whether your presence matters. Love, respect, and appreciation should be given, not extracted. You should not have to remind someone to choose you, to care for you, to invest in you the way you invest in them. If you find yourself always initiating, always giving, always waiting for the bare minimum in return, then you are in a space that does not honor you. And anything that does not honor you will eventually drain you. The love that requires you to beg is not love. The friendships that take from you but never pour back into you are not friendships. The opportunities that exploit your talents without recognition are not opportunities. They are merely obligations disguised as possibilities. We often stay in these imbalanced dynamics because we fear that walking away means losing something important. But in reality, holding on to something that does not give back to you is what truly keeps you stuck. Reciprocity is not about keeping score. It is about mutual effort. It is about knowing that you are not the only one trying, the only one making sacrifices, the only one who cares. And when you accept less than that, you teach others that they can take from you without ever giving back. When you start prioritizing reciprocity, you begin to recognize the relationships and opportunities that are actually meant for you. You stop chasing people who are indifferent to your presence. You stop settling for love that feels like work rather than warmth. You stop investing in situations that only see you as an option, never a priority. And most importantly, you stop betraying yourself just to maintain connections that were never truly yours. You deserve the same energy you give. You deserve effort that does not need to be begged for. You deserve to be surrounded by people who see your worth without being reminded. And when you hold yourself to that standard, you will find that the right relationships, friendships, and opportunities will not require you to exhaust yourself just to feel valued. They will give to you as freely as you give to them, because reciprocity is not just a preference, it is a necessity. Stop waiting for validation. Stop looking for permission to be who you already are. Too often we hesitate. We second-guess ourselves. We dim our light because we are waiting for someone else to tell us we are good enough. We wait for the approval of our peers, our family, society, hoping that if they recognize our worth, then maybe we will finally believe in it ourselves. But the truth is, no external validation will ever be enough if you do not first validate yourself. From the time we are young, we are conditioned to seek validation. We are praised when we follow the rules, when we achieve, when we meet expectations set by others. Over time, we learn that approval equals acceptance and acceptance equals worth, and so we chase it. We shape ourselves to fit what others want. We mold our personalities, our goals, our dreams around what will be praised. We suppress parts of ourselves that might not be understood or accepted, and in doing so, we start to lose the very essence of who we are. But here's what we forget. Validation from others is fleeting. The people who praise you today may criticize you tomorrow. The approval you fight so hard to earn can disappear in an instant. If your self-worth is built on the shifting opinions of others, you will always feel unstable. Always feel like you are one mistake away from losing your value. That is no way to live. You do not need anyone else to confirm what you already know deep inside. You do not need a stamp of approval to be great, to be talented, to be deserving. The moment you stop waiting for validation is the moment you take back your power. It is the moment you realize that your worth is not up for debate, that you do not need to be chosen by others to choose yourself. Waiting for validation keeps you small. It keeps you afraid to take risks, afraid to stand out, afraid to embrace your uniqueness. You start playing it safe, following the path that others approve of rather than the one that truly calls to you. And in doing so, you rob yourself of the life you were meant to live. Some of the most successful, inspiring, and game-changing people in history were those who refused to wait for validation. They did not ask for permission to be different. They did not wait for the world to tell them they were worthy. They believed in themselves first, even when no one else did. That belief, that unshakable knowing, is what allowed them to create, to lead, to break barriers. And you have that same power within you. The world will not always understand you. People may question your choices, doubt your abilities, underestimate your potential. That does not mean you should shrink yourself to fit into their limited vision. Their inability to see your greatness does not mean it does not exist. You were not born to live according to someone else's approval. You were not meant to spend your life proving yourself to people who will never see your worth, no matter how much you try. Stop waiting for someone to tell you that you are good enough. Stop waiting for applause before you take the stage. Stop waiting for permission to live fully, boldly, and unapologetically. Because the moment you decide that you are enough without validation, you become unstoppable. Choosing yourself first allows the right things to find you. It sounds simple, but for many, it is one of the hardest lessons to learn. We spend so much of our lives seeking external approval, prioritizing others' needs, and bending ourselves to fit into places that were never meant for us. We chase love, friendships, opportunities, believing that if we just try a little harder, if we give a little more, if we mold ourselves into what others want, then we will finally receive what we are looking for. But in that endless chase, we forget the most important thing. When you abandon yourself, you teach the world that you are not worth choosing. When you choose yourself first, you send a powerful message, not just to others, but to the universe itself. You declare that you are worthy of love, respect, and opportunities that align with who you truly are. You stop settling for half-hearted relationships, unfulfilling jobs, and one-sided friendships, because you finally understand that anything that requires you to sacrifice your happiness, your dignity, or your peace is not meant for you. The reason so many people struggle to find the right relationships or the right opportunities is because they are still prioritizing things that do not prioritize them. They are waiting to be chosen instead of realizing that they are the ones who need to do the choosing. They hold on to toxic relationships, hoping that one day things will change. They stay in careers that drain them, afraid of what will happen if they walk away. They keep giving chances to people who do not reciprocate their effort, believing that if they prove their worth, they will finally be valued. But that is not how life works. When you start choosing yourself, you begin to see things clearly. You recognize when something or someone is not serving you, and instead of clinging to it, you let it go. You stop tolerating behavior that does not align with your standards. You no longer chase people who make you feel like an option. You step away from situations that drain your energy and rob you of your joy. And when you do this, something incredible happens. The right things start to find you effortlessly. The people who truly value you will gravitate toward you when they see that you value yourself. The opportunities that align with your purpose will present themselves when you stop settling for things that do not inspire you. The love you have been searching for will come when you no longer seek validation from relationships that make you feel unworthy. It is not magic, it is simply alignment. When you stop forcing what is not meant for you, you create space for what is. Many people fear that choosing themselves first means being alone or missing out. But the truth is, nothing real, nothing meant for you will ever be lost by choosing yourself. If something falls away when you prioritize yourself, it was never truly yours to begin with. And if something is truly meant for you, it will find its way to you, not through force, not through sacrifice, but through alignment. Choosing yourself is not selfish. It is the most necessary act of self-love. It is the key to unlocking the life you deserve. The moment you stop looking outside yourself for happiness, fulfillment, and validation, you will realize that everything you have ever been searching for has been waiting for you to simply choose you first.